Hello friends, Paul Tumey coming at you here. And I wanted to thank everybody for all your comments on my previous analysis of the scene we're looking at right now by Laurel and Hardy from 1929's great movie, Perfect Day. I appreciate all your comments and differing theories about how this was done, and I'm going to address them. And you've made me reconsider, and I think I got it wrong. And so stick around to the end, and I'll reveal to you what I think is actually going on in this stunt, which makes it even more incredible. So let's take a look at a little background material first. Let me show you here. I have quite a few books on Laurel and Hardy. And I pulled a few here to see what we could find out about background on A Perfect Day. This is a great book put together by the leading Laurel and Hardy scholar, Randy Skretvedt. By far, this man has done more for Laurel and Hardy fans than I think any other single individual. So thank you, Randy. Randy's put together 2 volumes of the Laurel and Hardy movie scripts. Now, these are not what you normally see in a screenplay. There's no dialogue. These are what they call shooting scripts. And they, Stan and Ollie were great at coming up with business and, working in the loads of old comedy routines from their earlier days that they learned into the movies. But what Stan wasn't great at least according to Hal Roach, was coming up with a storyline. And so these shooting scripts kind of ensured that there was a story involved. And so let's take a look at this scene in the original screenplay or story shooting script for Perfect Day. It's right at the top of the page here. Babe starts to crank the car and it gives a little leap toward him. He takes it, meaning, he has a comic reaction, and tells Stan, "Why don't you do something to help me?" Stan asks, "What can I do?" Babe says, "Throw out the clutch." Stan quickly pulls the clutch out and throws it out of the car. The neighbor laughs and Babe being Oliver Hardy, walks over and picks up the clutch, and with murder in his eyes, walks over to Stan, takes off Stan's hat, and clunks him with the clutch. So that's all they had to work from. So they're doing a lot of improvising right there. And actually, Randy's great book, if you had to get one Laurel and Hardy book, I would recommend this one, Laurel and Hardy, Magic Behind the Movies. It's available in multiple editions. They're all good, but each successive edition includes yet more information and more amazing finds and photographs, like this one here of the Hal Roach lot. So I found this interesting little bit here that talks about how they were sort of making things up on the fly when they made these movies, which just blows my mind. What went on between the director's first call of "Turn 'em" and "That's a wrap" was a strange combination of ad-libbing, conferences with gag men, practical jokes, throwing out old gags and trying on new ones, impromptu concerts from musically inclined actors, reminiscing about vaudeville, and somehow getting the picture shot. Sounds like a lot of fun. And actually, that's what the Hal Roach studio was called. They called studios lots back then, so this was called the Lot O' Fun. Isn't that great? Okay, well, I really appreciate your comments, and thank you so much. And I've actually sort of summarized them, and there's basically 4 prevailing theories that are kind of in opposition to what I'm proposing for how this stunt was done. And by far the most popular one was the idea of a breakaway pre-scored prop that splits on contact. The idea being that the clutch was designed to break apart when it strikes Stan's head, and it can be made of balsa wood or rubber or pre-scored metal. But let's take a look at the frame by frame on this one, because we don't have a lot of background material in the text, and I'll go over a little bit more with you, but really all we have is what's in front of our eyes, this right here. So let's take a look at this and see exactly what's happening, okay? That's all I'm going on, okay? The evidence in front of our eyes. So in this long shot, Hardy is holding the clutch that Stan has pulled out. And by the way, I wanted to let you guys know that I think it was, his name is Postscript 67, the commenter. One of our commenters said that that's an actual clutch. So that's, you know, that's pretty cool. Or it's a prop that looks like a clutch. And actually, I found, I'm going to take you over to my desk now, don't get dizzy, a picture of a clutch on eBay from a 1928 Ford. And doesn't that look a lot like the piece that Ollie is holding? It's got a pedal. Now, in Ollie's version, the one he's holding, the pedal is diamond-shaped. I couldn't find a diamond-shaped pedal. Lots of ovals and squares, though. And then you have a bar, and then it kind of curves over into kind of a L shape with a bend in it. And then there's a smaller piece here. Okay, back to the video. You get a look at my apartment. Hey, there's my book. Quick plug for my book. Okay, so notice the direction he's holding it, okay? The pedal part, the arrow-shaped part, or the diamond-shaped part, the pedal where the foot goes, that's pointing upward. Okay, now this is going to cut. We're going forward now. This is going to cut to a medium take, from a long shot to a medium shot. And notice now that it's been reversed, and the pedal rather, is at the bottom. And I believe this was done very deliberately by Hardy. Also, look how he's holding it. He's holding it so gingerly with just 2 fingers and 2 tucked under. He has these big sausage fingers. That's for comic effect, okay? That's not part of the gag or the stunt. I believe that's just for comic effect. He could have held it any way he wanted. He's not hiding anything in his hand, okay? But when he puts his hand down out of camera, he does shift his grip, okay? Now I made a prop here. Well, actually, let's deal with the breakaway part first. Okay. We get a good look at this thing. And that could be made out of rubber or balsa wood, but that'd be a lot of trouble for them to go through. And I have the feeling they were improvising this as they were going along. But maybe not. Who's to say? I'm not sure there's anybody left who could tell us. Okay, look closely at Hardy's hand as it goes down out of camera and see the grip he has on it, okay? He's still got the 2 fingers tucked under. Okay, and he's looking at the camera. Great bit of misdirection. Okay, now he turns and he's going to grab Stan's hat with his left hand. And here comes the hit. And I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly now. I want to just deal with the breakaway prop part. Okay, if it was a breakaway prop, then that would mean that you would need to hit Stan's head with the piece. I don't know, guys. It doesn't look to me like this is actually touching Stan's head. I think Hardy is passing his hand in front of Stan's head, and he's turned the back of his hand to Stan to protect him from being hit by the metal piece. Okay, so do you see anything that breaks away? I don't. I don't think anything breaks away from this prop. And then suddenly we get this piece behind Stan, okay? And that's what appears to break away, but that's actually probably been tossed up by someone off camera crouching behind the car who just tossed it up in the air, let it spin, somewhat like the bone in 2001 that turns into the monolith and then catches it. Whoever thought Laurel and Hardy would foreshadow Kubrick? Okay, now I've made a prop. Actually, let me show you. There's another theory. Several folks had the idea that when Hardy's, well, first several folks said that the prop switches when they do the cut, okay? And that could be. They may have made something that looks identical to the earlier piece and made it out of wood, but why would they do that if they weren't actually going to break it apart? So Hardy's hand is out of camera, so that's also one of the prevailing theories, is that maybe there's somebody down here who takes the actual clutch and replaces it with something. But again, a breakaway piece doesn't make any sense. So I'm not sure that that's actually happening. I had the idea that maybe Hardy dropped off part of it and made it smaller, because I was thinking that the part that he's swinging upwards is actually a lot smaller. And let's take a closer look at that. Real close look, and you're going to discover something here. Okay, there's clearly something in his hand right here. He's moving so fast right now that his hand is just a blur and still staying wonderfully in character. And Stan is holding his head perfectly still because he knows he doesn't want to get hit by this piece. Okay. You see that right there? That's the bottom of the piece. That's the pedal piece, the flat pedal piece. And that's the rest of it right there. And the reason why it's not showing up as the full clutch is simply because of the way it's turned to the camera. So I made a prop here, okay, and this is how Hardy's holding it, with two fingers wrapped around it and his thumb and clutched when he brings it down to his side. And then he switches, he wraps all fingers around it, scoots it up a bit, okay, and then when he swings it up to the camera, it's a lot like this, you see? So this long part disappears. And that's what's going on right here. It's like this. To continue, there's an even better frame where you see even more of the piece. You see that right there? That's the clutch. All that metallic stuff right there, and the end with the threads in it and the nut around it, and there's the foot pedal. That's the actual clutch that he's holding. You can see it really clearly there, right? Really clear there. Look how big that is now. It all has to do with the angle of it to the camera. And I believe he switched positions, reversing it during the, at the cut, because he needs to convince us that when he pulls his hand back, it's gone. Now it's clearly still there, but he is now holding it, and that's what I meant by palming. He's holding it so that it's turned to the camera like this, so it's taking up very little space. It would be a lot more obvious if he was holding it like this or like this, but he's holding it like this. And of course, our attention is on the spinning piece right here and Stan's take anyway. We're not watching his hand. And this happens so fast, it's hard to see anyway. Okay, here it is again. Okay, it looks like he's holding a short piece, but the bottom piece is hidden by his arm. It's still there. See? He's just turned it like this, so it looks like he's holding a short piece. Like that. Okay. So much for the prop. I broke the budget making that prop. And he effectively pulls it down and hides it. Now, there was another theory that the flying piece that comes up behind Stan's head is animation. I don't think so. Okay, this is 1928, and animation would have been ink on paint, not, you know, believable AI-generated video. And look how this thing is blurry. How could an animator do that? I don't think animators work like that. Plus, adding animation in post-production would have been expensive. And Hal Roach was known for, you know, cutting corners. He needed to make these movies profitable, and he had a huge bill with his studio. So if they could do it another way during, you know, a live take like this, all the better. Now, my theory was wrong earlier when I said Hardy palmed it. That's giving him too much credit. I don't think he's palming it. I think he's just he just simply reversed position, and they're understanding camera angles really well. And that was probably Stan's direction, I'm guessing. The movie was directed, by the way, by James Parrott, also known as Paul Parrott, who was the brother of Charlie Chase, whose real name was Charles Parrott. And it's hard to say if Paul Parrott would have contributed to this. I still can't get over this right here. That's real trust between the two men. Now, I want to read to you something I found in another book, a biography of Stan Laurel called Stan, The Life of Stan Laurel, by Fred Lawrence Giles. And in it, he's talking about Stan's early days with the Fred Carnot troupe in Britain. And I'm sure you guys know that was a touring comedy act that played in the English music halls. And incredibly, there was a sketch called Mumming Birds, where they did a performance, but then someone in the audience, another one of the actors, would pretend to be drunk and mess up the performance, hence the comedy. And that part was played by Charlie Chaplin, and the understudy was Stan Laurel. Isn't that amazing? But this passage right here I found really interesting. Stan took over the role after Chaplin was summoned to Hollywood. There were numerous falls on stage by the drunk, and when Stan took over the role, he claimed he injured his head in falling. He was to become very wary of comic falls and was constantly worried about a hazard common to boxing, but not usually associated with the theater. The possibility of bruising his brain, or what we today might call punch drunk. Okay, so given that, I don't think Stan really would have wanted to have anything hit his head. Certainly not metal, certainly not rubber, maybe balsa wood, but even then I'm not sure he would have gone for it. I mean, that could still hurt. Couple more things I wanted to read to you as background in Randy Skretvet's amazing book. And if you had to get one Laurel and Hardy book, I would recommend this one. It's still available, and highly recommend it. And there are earlier editions, which are considerably less costly. However, they don't have as much information as this latest edition does. So turning to the section on A Perfect Day, we get a paragraph about the scene we're talking about. but he's more interested in the sound effect. One loud noise that drew special attention from critics emanated from a gag where Ollie hit Stan on the head with the car's clutch. Stan has taken Ollie's order to throw out the clutch a bit too literally. As the clutch smacks the Laurel cranium, a loud, hollow clanging sound, what a great description, indicates the emptiness of Stan's skull. You can just hear Randy laughing. The exhibitors Herald World called this, quote, the funniest sound effect yet recorded. Now remember, this was just when sound was a couple of years old. So here, the scholar before Randy that was preeminent in the Laurel and Hardy field was John McCabe, and he actually knew them. He interviewed them and had correspondence with Stan. And he talks about this too and gives us basically the same thing Randy was saying, except there's a little bit more here. He reminds us this came out at a time when sound was not yet out of swaddling clothes. What a great way to put that. And then he gives us more of the film exhibitor Herald's comment. Now, this was a publication, I don't know if you call it a magazine, for people that exhibited movies, and it was to help them decide what to rent. So somebody would watch them and review them with an eye toward what would work for audiences. So if you have the kind of audience that likes slapstick, you'd probably want to get this one. In one spot, Hardy hits Laurel over the head with an automobile jack. So gets that wrong. It's not a jack. It's not a crowbar, as one of the commenters said. It's a clutch pedal. But the rest of this is spot on. And the noise from the blow sounded like the ringing of an anvil when struck with a 12-pound hammer. Isn't that great? It's the funniest sound effect yet recorded. So, let's listen to it, shall we? Let's enjoy it. Amazing magic of Laurel and Hardy. Thanks, folks.